Hello, everybody. Welcome to Reserve Seating. We are doing our September mailbag episode. Thank you in advance to everybody for sending in questions and discussion topics for us. We appreciate when we let somebody else kind of drive the ship for a week. It's nice. I know I'm the idea man, but sometimes the ideas don't flow as much. So, like having the out of a mailbag episode every month is glorious. So with
Which
that,
was my idea.
it was, yeah, so I feel like I'm not earning my keep. I need to do more.
I'm the idea man for when there are no ideas.
So our first question is from our own at this movie cohort, Rosalie. In the spirit of in the spirit of all the It's Sweater Season memes with pics from Meg Ryan movies, what movies signify fall but not scary to
Right.
you?
Not scary fall.
Yeah,
We can go back and forth if you want. I was thinking of autumnal movies, and I actually just watched Knives Out yesterday.
yeah.
I just randomly decided to rewatch that. I was thinking of Chris Evans' sweater and just the general sort of fall vibe of the outside of the house and things like that. So I would think
Yeah.
that's one.
Okay. So the one that immediately jumps out to me is Dan in real life because
Okay.
it's like we're going up the coast to Maine or Vermont or wherever they are. For whatever reason, Northeastern is like always feels fallish to me.
Hmm.
So like yeah, they're going to like this cozy house with like a den and they're doing talent shows and everybody's wearing sweaters and stuff and they're making pancakes. So like that feels like fall to me.
Feels like fall.
Yeah.
I was also thinking and I don't know why. I don't know if it's like Elliott Smith or like maybe it's the Boston thing too. But I was thinking Good Will Hunting has always felt kind of autumnal to me. That's always been a movie that's kind of felt like fall.
I thought of a couple of thrillers from the fall of 1993 that
Nice.
feel like fall to me. One is The Good Son. Again, it's kind of like if you set a thriller in the town where Dan in real life took
Yeah.
place. And also Malice, because that's
Ooh,
another
Alice is a
like
good one.
yeah, that's another like leaves are on the ground, like
Yeah.
was released in fall. It's set at a like I think a university hospital is like where it takes place. So yeah.
Our friend Deli Van Odd says, if you were each in charge of rebooting the horror franchise at Universal, what movie would you start with, and who would you hire to star and direct? Adam, you had some good ideas on this one. I'll let you take this one.
So I had two. One is if it's kind of like a blank check and the director doesn't care about continuing the franchise or it being like a universe.
Okay.
And another one is more traditional, like if this is going to be a universe thing. So the one that's going to be a universe is Creature from the Black Lagoon, just because it hasn't been tread over nearly as much as some of the other properties.
Yeah.
So I feel like there has to be a reason for that, but I don't know what it is. Maybe it's
I don't know
just
what it is either.
yeah, I'm not sure, but I would like to see Thomasin McKenzie as the Julie Adams part because I feel like she got has sort of a similar kind of like plucky dorkiness,
Mhm.
like that could play as like a science student or scientist, a young scientist. And I would have somebody direct it like Johannes Roberts,
Okay.
who did Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. And then my other pick is The Mummy, but I would go in a completely different direction, and it would be starring and directed by Clint Eastwood, and it would just be basically like a Clint Eastwood, like I'm kind of awful and kind of estranged from my family. And I go to diners and I chat up waitresses, but there just happens to be a mummy situation going on in the background.
Nice.
And I kind of want it to be almost like the bucket list, but with a mummy and Clint Eastwood. All right. Our next question comes from Chase. So this one's actually, I think, more for you nowadays. When reviewing a picture, have you ever let what you thought someone else's opinion of a film would be influence your review?
So I've definitely, um, in the time that I've been writing, I think improved as a writer. I'll say that. And also, I have definitely learned from the people that I respect, including you and Patrick and JB and everybody else, and read great writers. I read some not so great writers as well.
Mhm.
I've definitely learned new vocabulary and how to kind of express myself in different ways. And a byproduct of that is definitely if I'm watching something, thinking about it. Like we say this to each other all the time, where it's like, "Oh, I watched this movie through your eyes." Or
Yeah.
like, I realized right away that this was a Rob movie, or I realized right away that this was a Patrick movie, or something like that, where it's like, okay,
Mhm.
I maybe this movie is not quite to my sensibilities, but I can almost sit in another person's head and appreciate it more because I'm thinking of the things that they would like about it.
Yeah.
And the more I hear and the more I read other people talk about their movie love, the more I'm able to kind of transpose myself onto them, and be more open minded about things than I would say I probably used to be.
I read this as like when I was writing reviews, kind of like in the 2013 to 2016 time
Mhm.
period. I tried to go out of my way to avoid reading or watching any reviews for the movie that I
Yeah.
was reviewing. So I definitely wanted my voice to come through, like with what I hope to be original thoughts, but what I would find out later from reading reviews after the fact, like there's usually something in the air where a lot of people kind of pick up on like common things. It's not just like everybody's conspiring and saying the same thing.
I will say there is
Yeah.
a is an interesting there's an interesting phenomenon because I'm just saying I really try not to read any other reviews when I'm reviewing something. I mean, I tend, if it's a new release, I tend to see it early, so I will
Mhm.
hear early buzz from other critics or from like people. But like, I will say there is that like little bit of breath holding where like if I see a new release on a Tuesday and then the
Yeah.
embargo is like a Thursday and the movie comes out on a Friday, like I do hold my breath to see like was I in the consensus on this or was I an outlier? You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like I kind of wait
Yeah.
for that like 12 o'clock on Twitter for and start scrolling and seeing like, oh no, I was okay. Oh wow, no, I was totally in the dark, or whatever. I was in the minority, I was in the majority on this, whatever it is. So I will say that's an interesting phenomenon. I find that to be very interesting.
Yeah, I don't see things early like you do, but unless you count like, the Thursday it opens or the
Mhm.
opening weekend or something. But what I've noticed for me that happens a lot is I'm almost like watching something, which maybe goes along with the question, kind of in reaction to other people's reviews.
Yeah.
And I had that like when I was watching Pinocchio last weekend, the Robert Zemeckis one. The entire time I'm watching it expecting it to be The Lion King and like just a train wreck. And I'm like, no, this is kind of like a wounded Zemeckis, but it's like still Zemeckis, and there's still some stuff to like in it. So I was watching it almost in reaction to the negative reviews where I'm just like, this isn't as bad as people are saying that it is. So I find that happening a lot too.
Our next question comes from our friend Shannon Briggs. What retired actor or actress would you like to see return for one more film and receive the critically acclaimed last bow performance they deserve? I thought about this one earlier today,
Mhm.
and this doesn't. I don't think this is quite along the lines of what the question is because this person is by no means totally retired or like their career is not over. But Sarah Michelle Gellar never
Yeah.
got the post Buffy career she deserved.
Mhm.
I was a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan for the longest time, and I really don't think, even though she had parts and she's famous for other things, she deserves a better career. I think she deserved more opportunities than she got. And it could be you could chalk it up to the classic, the blonde starlet in Hollywood thing, maybe the TV ghetto at the time because she was such an established TV star. I'm not sure exactly what it was. The peak of her career was such a different place and time in Hollywood than it is now that I'm not even sure what the analog would be today. But
Yeah.
if she came storming back with a cool indie role or something like that that really showed off her considerable range because she's really funny. She's obviously got the action grit. She's got dramatic chops. I would love to see a sort of middle aged SMG coming back.
My choice was I have like a film Twitter approved stamped answer, which
Wow.
is Rick Moranis, but like I feel like that's boring. So my choice is Meg Ryan
Okay.
because once she's one of the kind of poster children of the once a woman hits 40 phenomenon, dot, 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 the roles dry up. And that's just such a bummer. And the way that that happened with her was so stupid. because it was because of the Russell Crowe thing, and like nothing happened with him, but like
Yeah.
for some reason America's Sweetheart can't be America's Sweetheart anymore. I think the movies need her now. Like I'm kind of paraphrasing what I've heard Tarantino say. Pauline Kael used to say this about John Travolta, where it's like the movies need him to come back. This was like in his kind of wilderness period, like before Pulp Fiction. And I feel like that with Meg Ryan too. Like we need like the warmth of the sun appeal of Meg
Yeah.
Ryan back in movies. And
And
I like the movie, but I'm so mad that they just cast her away in Top Gun Maverick, and like it was foolish, I thought. And I would love to see her make a comeback. Okay, our next question, it comes from Louis. Are there filmmakers or actors that you couldn't stand at first, but a movie or performance made you change your mind about them? So, luckily, I didn't have to think about this one too much because in the early days of F This Movie, I used to write an annual article at the end of the year called Stars That Turn the Corner,
yeah.
which I stopped writing because I thought that it was kind of mean-spirited, like they owed me something.
Yeah, your early stuff is a little bit more sort of sardonic. Your Doc Hollywoods and all that were pretty. You had some razzle dazzle back in the day.
Thank you. I don't know how to take that.
No, I mean in a good way. Like I mean, like you were more like knowing you as I do. It's always so funny to go back because I'll still go back and reread old stuff, and it's so funny to go back and read your like earliest columns, and they're just a little bit more aggressive. Not in a
Yeah, they're a little bit more of like piss and vinegar, like
exactly.
young guy trying to prove something. Now I'm like guy on a Barca lounger who will kind of talk.
Oh, yeah.
So at the time I had Gemma Arterton from Hansel and Gretel. Although I don't know how much that held up because like she hasn't had a Gretel level part
Not really.
since then, really. But the two that stuck out still to me is Dakota Johnson from 50 Shades of Grey, who the movie's garbage, but like I think she elevates that movie as much as possible, and she finds this really interesting kind of way to tap into her part where she's kind of laughing at it, but like not acting above the material, and
Yeah.
it makes it fun. So it's I would pick her. And then also Jason Sudeikis, who I thought was like Smarm King until I saw Sleeping
Awful.
with Other People, and I
Oh,
thought that he was smarmy in that, but like he's a really good romantic lead, and he
yeah.
has some sincerity that I didn't see in his stuff, like on SNL or Horrible Bosses and stuff like that.
Did you
And I
watch? Did you
wish
watch
him
Ted
and
Lasso?
Allison Brie did more movies together.
Do you watch Ted Lasso?
No, no, I
Okay.
didn't.
Because
Yeah.
there's a smarm to that part that I think is the secret to the charm of it. I
Mhm.
think that there's something slimy about Jason Sudeikis where you can't really ever tell when he's playing this big-hearted character like Ted Lasso. You feel the darkness. It's very similar to Colossal, which is a movie we
Yeah.
both love, um, where you can feel that sort of addictive, toxic masculinity thing underneath the surface. And
Mhm.
without spoiling anything, if you haven't seen Ted Lasso, anybody, which you should, well, you should at least watch the first season. The second season is kind of a mess, but
Okay.
that character is compensating for something, and you
Mhm.
can feel it underneath. So I think I think it's a similar kind of energy.
Okay. The next question, Charles asks, "What is the best Western since 1980?" My answer is really boring, so I'll let you go
My
first.
answer is really boring too. It's Unforgiven.
It is Unforgiven.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I had to say, like, I think it's clearly Unforgiven. I watched it twice in the past 2 years. I think it's a masterpiece. It's even better than its reputation. It's if I had runners up since the 80s, I'm a big mark for like Open Range. I think that's way up there too.
There's lots of good
Yeah.
westerns since then, but there's no. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Unforgiven is one of those things where it's like you can't make. To me, it's like Scream, where it's like you can't really make slasher movies anymore. With
Yeah.
Unforgiven, it's like you can't really make westerns anymore. You
It's
know.
pretty undeniable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lindsay asks, if you could present any double feature at the Music Box, what would it be? Since it's the Music Box and that theater's kind of, especially when they play something Chicago centric, it's kind of magical.
Mhm.
I have two different Chicago double features because I couldn't choose between them. One is The Fugitive and Rapid Fire, and that's because it's like wrongfully accused man on the run in Chicago.
Nice.
And then the second one is a little bit more like early Adam at F This Movie would have really liked this one because of, it was all piss and it's a piss and vinegar one. it's proven a point. It's Adventures in Babysitting and Judgment Night, and that's because it's like the suburbanites go to the scary city,
Yeah,
and yeah,
that's a good one. I like that one a
there's
lot.
a lot of urban panic in both of those movies, which might be a little bit racist.
All right, so we have two more questions, and we have to thank Miko for his amazing question.
Yeah, Miko's got the best
I
question.
think you and I were both kind of like, "Oh, that's the winner right there." No
Yeah.
offense to everybody else, but it was a great question, Miko. We love you. All right, if you had to replace Leonardo DiCaprio with Arnold Schwarzenegger in one movie, and Arnold Schwarzenegger with Leonardo DiCaprio in another movie,
This
which
is a great
movie
question.
would you choose? This is a fantastic question.
Yeah. Rob, you go first.
All right, I said, which I can't even really. All right,
This is exciting.
I said Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Departed.
Leo's part?
Like,
weren't you the statey that sounds like he's from Austria?
that's what I kept thinking about.
Yeah.
Cranberry juice, like I just kept, or like the scene in Vera Farmiga's office where he's just like, you sit there next to a mass murderer, like I just kept spinning.
Not cool. My answer was clear as a bell once I saw the title. Yeah. I think that Schwarzenegger in another time could have been in The Revenant.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
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 I think he's so well suited for like that kind of outdoorsy, like kind of mythical thing. Yeah.
Your answer is much better, more serious than
mine. No, it's fine. My Leo for Arnold, I went through 3 titles. I'm gonna give you my answer because I don't want to step on your answer if one of the other two are. But I'll get into the other 2. I think Collateral Damage, because Leo definitely had like a Body of Lies, Sad Bastard period, and I feel like Collateral Damage would slot right into that. I had one more question on here. I don't know if you had this. I can't find it on the Twitter thing anymore, so I don't know who wrote it. But it was like, which rom-com would you like to see as a slasher, and which slasher would you like to see as a rom-com?
Yep. Yeah, that was let's see, Dirk Trey. So I hope.
Oh, okay, Dirk. Thank you for that one. So this will be our last question. For this is a total cheat because I saw this on a YouTube video years ago. But my rom-com as slasher would be Sleepless in Seattle, because you could so easily turn that into a creepy story. Yeah. And then my slasher as rom-com would be turning Wishmaster from Hot Dogs in a Ball Game into Dinner in a Movie.
All right. Well, thank you to everybody who sent in questions for our September mailbag.
Mm-hmm.
We will be back next week, Adam, with
undecided ? We might do a F, Marry, Kill of movies of the oeuvres of the Chris's.
Right.
So Hemsworth, Pine, Pratt, and Evans.
Mm-hmm.
But no promises. See you next time. Until next time.
These seats are reserved.
Thank you. That's what we say at the end.